Oh, chapter 1, we definitely come out swinging. The myth of level playing fields. Yeah, that one is definitely the eager boxer who's been waiting to throw hands. He's still measured though, but damn sure trying to get some licks in. That's definitely the comedian's chapter. Man, I've been waiting to pull the rug on that damn caricature for a minute. So that's what this chapter's about. Undressing the caricature. Exposing the concocted myth that has a chokehold on our cultural imagination, and adjusting our lens so we can see a little more clearly. Calling it like I see it, and maybe talking a little shit too. Yeah, that's why the next chapter is the comedians too, mostly. Marshawn Lynch, Beast and the historical play on Human. If chapter 1 is the eager boxer trying to get some licks in, chapter 2 is when he starts getting surgical, dictating the rhythms of the fight and studying his opponent so he can find those flaws, those openings for later on. The comedian can tell you better than I can. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, my mom used to get so nervous about how rough I was. I can even remember hearing her cringe every time I got tackled on the football field, on my old highlight tapes. And she would always warn me whenever I told her I was getting ready to preach a sermon that was probably going to piss the deacons off. And even when I was a little boy, she used to always ask me with this nervous curiosity in her voice, "Gary, why you gotta be so destructive?" I feel like I finally got an answer to her rhetorical question. Well, Mom, because breaking shit is the best way to figure out how it functions in the first place. Well, that's definitely what this chapter is trying to do. Take everything that I see connected to the caricature apart, whether morality or even human as a concept, so we can understand the interworking and hopefully do better by black athletes, if not black people in general. But like I said, mostly, because the athlete definitely had a say in this chapter too. I mean, what do you expect? We're talking about Marshawn Lynch, one of the greatest running backs in the history of the NFL. But more importantly, a brilliant mind. And you know what I mean by that too. We'll get to it. Yes, we will. In fact, chapter 3 is the athletes. It's when he starts getting into the weeds of what he really wants to say about embodied brilliance. Steph Curry, range beyond the ploy of neoliberal rationality. There are definitely elements of the comedian in this chapter, but the athlete gets to narrate this one. It's all intelligence. It's always been intelligence. Whether you're talking about the technique my ancestors had to develop to survive enslavement, or a touchdown run that sends fans into frenzies, black people in the United States have embodied all kinds of brilliance that society has yet to learn how to talk about, especially when we're talking about black athletes. So Steph Curry gives us a masterclass in embodied brilliance, how athleticism itself is intelligence, and in so doing, he exposes the embodied dimensions of white supremacy. I think once we recognize this, we can begin to have a real conversation. And let me be the first to tell you, the conversation does get real in chapter 4. Deion Sanders, presence beyond the pool of respectability. This is the chapter when our boxer starts landing those body shots. At this point, he's found a few openings, and he's starting to tear that gut up. Let's ask the athlete about it. I mean, let's look deeper. Let's talk about embodied brilliance as it shows up in the psycho-spiritual lives of black athletes. Let's talk about primetime Deion Sanders and how he breaks through the logic of white supremacy's assault on the subjectivities of black men. And then, let's talk about faith, or the black magic of belief in general. Let's have a theological conversation that lives at the level of our bodies, and then see where we land. Well, damn. Who knew the athlete was a theologian too? A body theologian at that. But back to our boxer. What's the real reason for body shots other than to weaken one's opponent? You guessed it. Bring those hands down to protect the body and expose that chin. And in chapter 5, embodied brilliance beyond the myth is the chin check. The uppercut that lands as a plot twist that sends the conversation even deeper. And you can probably guess who wrote this one. Oh, we both
this chapter's
wrote this
like
chapter.
both ours.
How differently might we think about religion when we learn to take the ritual of sport or play, Seriously. Especially when we talk about play in a satirical sense. What might open up for us after we disrupt these colonizing logics? Yeah. And how might we think differently about both black athletes and our own embodied selves in this new clearing that gets created? Don't forget about the real MVPs, though. Nah, they got to read the book to find out who that is. Bet. Bet. Bet indeed. Happy reading.